Alright, all you listeners to the madness, and I guess a couple of you wrestling fans who are still up for tonight, welcome back to Under the Radar. And now it's time for us to talk about what happened during this week's pay-per-view that just passed us by. One pay-per-view that I would like to call Corporate Chutes and Ladders, but instead is now known as Money in the Bank, from the corporate towers of Connecticut for WWE, along with the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Now, was it simulcast? I do not know, and the fact that I remember that word from my broadcasting class is incredible. But besides all that, folks, the first match to take place during this said pay-per-view would be the pre-show match, which would see the Swiss Superman himself, Cesaro, going one-on-one against the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy. And during this match, action would go back and forth and would see Cesaro hitting a multitude of uppercuts and even a gut-wrench suplex from the top rope, and still would not be able to get the job done against Jeff Hardy, who at a multitude of moments during this match tried to hit his whisper in the wind, and when he would finally connect with it, would only get a 2. But ultimately, this match will come to an emphatic end after Jeff Hardy would get the upper hand on Cesaro enough for him to hit his swanton bomb inside the ring for the charismatic enigma to win his first match back on pay-per-view since his absence away from the company via pinfall. And the next match to take place on this said pay-per-view would be the first match of the night for it, which would see none other than the fatal 4-way tag team match between the New Day, John Morrison and The Miz, Lucha House Party, and the Forgotten Sons. And the reason why I would say this is the first match to take place on the pay-per-view is because they didn't announce any matches for the pre-show, and we completely forgot about that said match we mentioned before. And speaking of forgotten, folks, during this match, the Forgotten Sons, with Riker in their corner, would have the ultimate advantage until the referee would catch Riker's hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, and would bar him from ringside during this fatal 4-way tag team match. Which has me wondering at the same time, isn't this match supposed to be no disqualification since there's so many people at the ringside that they can't be tracked? Well, I guess I was wrong. But besides him getting barred from ringside during this match, not only you had John Morrison hitting his Spanish fly from the top rope to Lince Dorado to the outside of the ring, and according to the Maestro, I got that wrong, that was Grand Metalik he did that too, but Grand Metalik would get his revenge, or should I say, Lince Dorado would get his revenge in the form of a drop salt, hitting The Miz in the face, and not only that, but pinning John Morrison at the same time for a 2 count. Then the Forgotten Sons would get involved in the action during this match by doing their Scorpion Death Drop boot stomp combination from the top rope for a near fall. Then you would even see Miz and Morrison getting in the act by hitting Starship Pain still for a near fall. Yeah, that's right, folks. Every team during this match would get all near falls, including the New Day, until they would go up against Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik of the Lucha House Party, and Big E would show his strength in ways that we thought he couldn't. Almost similar to what John Cena did when somebody tried to hit him with a crossbody from the top rope, only to see Lince Dorado lifted up on the shoulders and for the clock to strike midnight for the Lucha House Party, for the team of the New Day to win this match with a midnight hour from out of nowhere, for the team to retain the tag team championships via pinfall. And a very exciting high-flying match with Lince Dorado, or should I say Grand Metalik, wearing a mask that sort of reminded me of Psychosis. You know, with the exception that it didn't have the buffalo thing on its head, but the hair that man has is amazing. And I'm wondering, how in the world is he able to keep all of that down inside the mask? That's be very uncomfortable. Well, I don't know. But besides the crazy hairstyle for Grand Metalik during this match, besides the crazy moves he was able to pull off, the next match to take place during this pay-per-view would see Bayley going one-on-one against none other than Tamina for the Women's Championship for SmackDown. And during this match, and I knew the second I saw Sasha Banks in tow with Bayley that some shenanigans was going to take place, but that would happen in the later goings during this match, because once this match kicked off and Bayley had a sense of confidence over her by trying to lure the beast herself of Tamina to the outside of the ring on a multitude of occasions and have her on a wild goose chase, once Tamina was finally able to catch Bayley, yeah, there was super kicks, Samoan drops, and everything else you could possibly being imagined thrown at Bayley during this match, including Bayley herself getting thrown over the announce table in a heap of grimace on the outside of the ring. And Bayley during this match, to counteract all of this, would try to take out the leg of one Tamina during this match in some very creative ways by not only using the ring post, but also using the apron itself by trying to take out the leg of Tamina and even catching one of her super kicks into a single leg lock that almost made Tamina tap out until she grabbed the ropes. But ultimately, when it looked like Tamina was going to win this match with a hellacious super kick, none other than Sasha Banks would interfere in this match, causing Tamina to take her eye off the ball long enough for Bayley to come out with another one of those Kurt Angle 1999, early 2000s sneak-like wins with a crucifix in the center of the ring for Tamina to lose this championship match via pinfall. And after the match was over, Tamina trying to get her revenge, only for Sasha Banks to take her out at the knees and hit her in the face with a Tiger knee, and for her to slap Tamina in the face 2 times before Bayley would go on the outside of the ring and celebrate her victory of sorts. And for those who didn't see it, yes, I was using quotations while I said that. And the next match to take place during this pay-per-view, besides Bayley's tactics that are really reminding me of Kurt Angle when he first won the WWE Championship, or in that case, it was the WWF Championship when he won it, but, you know, details. The next match to take place on this pay-per-view was none other than the Universal Studios of Orlando, Florida's champion himself, the quilted, quicker picker-upper Braun Strowman, going one-on-one against the evil Mr. Rogers himself, Bray Wyatt. And if you're wondering at home, it was Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. And during this match, Bray Wyatt would definitely prove that he can play some good head games against the strong Braun Strowman. Because despite the fact of him getting mowed over during this match, chokeslammed, and the power game in full effect for Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt would use his brains to try to take out one Braun Strowman during this match, including while Braun Strowman was on the outside of the ring and Bray Wyatt got thrown in, he would do a Sparta kick right to the face of one Braun Strowman, causing him to go on the outside of the ring in a heap of pain, and then would try to gain some form of offense during this match, only for that to fail. And then in the closing moments of this said contest that was all brawn and no brains, yeah, you know, I was trying to say all brawn and no brains, but nevertheless, besides that terrible joke, you would see the monster among men don his black sheep mask once again, to the delight of not only Bray Wyatt, but also Rambling Rabbit, Mercy the Buzzard, and Abby the Witch, who was all watching along during this match, including with Huskus the Big. Yes, that's right, folks, all of the members of this evil Sesame Street-like group were all at ringside cheering on Bray Wyatt, and thought that Braun Strowman came home finally, only to realize that he was playing a trick of his own to power slam Bray Wyatt through the ring almost, almost with that running power slam for Bray Wyatt to retain the Universal Studios of Orlando, Florida's championship via pinfall. And after the match was over and Braun Strowman would celebrate with the belt, Bray Wyatt with a very angry look on his face would show flashes of the Fiend on screen, proving that the next time these two will meet, the Fiend will be the opponent for none other than Braun Strowman. So technically Bray Wyatt gets 2 title shots in the course of 2 pay-per-views, but yet no rematch clause in this company. Right. And before we forget, and thank you for reminding me, Maestro, the next match to take place during this said pay-per-view would see R-Truth going one-on-one against MVP, or so we thought. Because while R-Truth was making fun of MVP saying, "Oh, I can hit a 3-pointer, ballin'," and then just kept saying his catchphrase over and over again, MVP would decide to replace himself with his former friend back in TNA in the form of one Bobby Lashley. And for those who don't know, the history of Bobby Lashley and MVP back in TNA days was back during their group known as Money, Power, and Respect that would slowly but surely change on over to the Beatdown Clan and would see Bobby Lashley getting betrayed by MVP, Samoa Joe, Low Key, and I do believe Kenny King while they were in that group. So the fact that I saw Samoa Joe at ringside announcing this match, and on top of that with MVP in tow with Bobby Lashley, technically this was a Beatdown Clan reunion of sorts. And speaking of beatdowns, folks, during this match there was one hell of a beatdown that happened to R-Truth, because the only offensive move that R-Truth would be able to get during this match would be that calf kick that he would do that unfortunately did not lead him right directly into the scissors kick he wanted, but instead would lead to a hellacious spear after he would try to hit the lie detector, followed up or previously with a spine buster and a gut check into the corner? Yeah, all leading to a loss for one R-Truth during this match via pinfall. And later on that night, R-Truth would say that he wants his 24/7 7-Eleven I-95 European Television Championship, and he's gonna go get his baby back from none other than Tom Brady, which he meant Ron Gronkowski, but at this point I got a feeling they're both sharing the belt in Tampa Bay with the fact that they're both on the same team with each other. Yeah, for those who didn't know that in the world of sports. But besides that Sports Center update that I probably got a feeling everybody already saw already, the next match to take place during this pay-per-view would see none other than the Messiah himself of Monday Night, CrossFit Jesus, aka Seth Rollins, going one-on-one against the Scottish Terminator known as Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, which I didn't realize was called the WWE World Championship, but at the same time that belt has been fused and changed and moved around so many times I don't know what to call it, so we'll just call it the WWE Championship. And prior to this match taking place, we would see the Monday Night Messiah donning some brand new music that sort of reminded me of a mixture of not only Cesaro's music, but Bayley's music. Really thought he would have went with something a little bit more, I don't know, but something a little bit more than what they presented, but I got a feeling this is just the first version of what his music's gonna be, we hope. But besides all that, during this match, action would go back and forth with Seth Rollins taking advantage of Drew McIntyre's height by trying to cut him at the knees with a multitude of drop kicks, and even going to the outside of the ring to hit not only suicide dives aplenty, but also hitting plenty of Tiger knees right to the face of the champion Drew McIntyre. Not only one on the apron, one on the barricade, and even one on the announce table itself. And I got a feeling at that point Seth Rollins was getting a little bit too arrogant during this match and was brought right back down to earth with him getting belly-to-belly suplexed onto the announce table by one Drew McIntyre. And then once action hit back inside the ring, Drew McIntyre would try to gain control only for his leg to get picked off with a half Boston crab bleeding directly into an SDF, going right directly into a crossface. So yeah, this was a move that was done by the Samoan submission machine himself, Samoa Joe, that he would call the Trial of Pain, which I really wish he would have called it that more often and used it more often in his repertoire in WWE, but he rarely used it when he was part of the company, mostly when he was heel. But I digress. During this match as action rolled on, you would even see Seth Rollins going back into his old playbook after getting a 1 count after a tiger knee from out of nowhere, and even getting a 1 count after a frog splash from the top rope from the heavens. That technically was a 2, but the referee said it was 2 instead of 1. You would see him do his suplex Falcon Arrow combination during this match, still for a near fall. Even would try to hit his blackout, but still to no avail to Drew McIntyre. And this match will come to an end again after a little bit of a war against the ropes, which would see not only a glass cow kiss, a super kick to the face, but finally ending with a Claymore right to the face of the Monday Night Messiah for Drew McIntyre to win this match in emphatic fashion via pinfall. And after the match was over, Drew McIntyre picking up Seth Rollins and asking to shake his hand and tells him, "Thank you for trying to make me into a better leader and a better champion during this match." For Seth Rollins to actually shake his hand in a good game of sportsmanship, only for Drew McIntyre to make his way up the ramp and for the Monday Night Messiah to go on and, I guess, plan his next move on Monday nights. And the next match to take place during this said pay-per-view, and the match I got a feeling a lot of people were waiting for, which would be the main event match of the evening, which is the corporate chutes and ladders known as Money in the Bank that took place inside of the Stamford, Connecticut headquarters for WWE. And during this said match, while all the entrances were going on in the lobby and even in the weight room, you would see Asuka taking full advantage to start off this match by doing a high angle cross body from the top of the balcony near the first floor, only for her to gain the advantage during this match by taking the elevator. Meanwhile, on the men's side, you would see Rey Mysterio trying to take out King Corbin trying to take him out with a weight, only to hit a mirror and break it. So for those who are superstitious out there, that leads to 7 years bad luck. So technically he would lose this match the second he broke that mirror, but I digress because during this match as the action continued, we would see some old familiar faces from WWE's past, including Rey Mysterio running into none other than Brother Love himself saying, "I love you," only for Rey Mysterio to say, "Oh well, I love you too, but I gotta go find the roof. See ya." And even seeing AJ Styles getting pinned underneath a big oversized set of weights that we almost forgot to mention, where Rey Mysterio refused to help him out with. And as they made their way upwards toward the building, another familiar face they would run into would be the advocate for the former reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion of Paul Heyman. Yeah, but he was the advocate for Brock Lesnar. But yeah, Paul Heyman trying to enjoy a little bit of lunch, only for it to break out into a food fight to see none other than Carmella getting a disgusting powerbomb through the table during the said food fight. And Maestro said, because we completely forgot, earlier during the women's part, you would even see Dana Brooke getting the advantage during this said Money in the Bank ladder match, and would even grab a Money in the Bank contract case that was filled with money. But unfortunately, we're getting informed by Stephanie McMahon, this is the Money in the Bank conference room, and that's not the real case, but the real case is up on the roof of the said headquarters. But at the same time, I'm surprised I didn't see Shane McMahon run into the room, snatch the case from her, and just kept doing the Shane O'Mac shuffle, but instead would see Carmella do the old classic, I guess, WrestleMania 22 moment, where she would take a poster that was by the ringside, or should I say in this said conference room, and hit it over the head of one Dana Brooke, who was shocked that she didn't win the Money in the Bank contract. But at the same time, that thing was filled with money. Was that money real? And if it was, she won that. But instead, this match would continue outside of the cafeteria with Asuka firmly in the lead upstairs, asking one of the janitors, do you know where the attic is, or the roof? I don't know why I said attic, but yeah, do you know where the roof is in Japanese? Only for the said janitor to be very confused for what she was saying, and for her to run past, throw a mop at the women competitors, and even would see poor Dana Brooke, who got the wrong case, to slip and fall and eliminate herself out of the said match. And finally, once things hit the roof, folks, after AJ Styles would not only run into a picture of The Undertaker on the men's side and would get locked into a room with a casket thanks to Aleister Black, you would also see not only AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan fighting all over the hallways, but directly into the corporate office of one Vince McMahon. And the only reason I remembered it was his office was thanks to the Edge and Christian show that totally reeked of awesomeness with that giant oversized T-Rex statue on the wall. And Vince McMahon would turn around in a chair almost similar to a James Bond villain and would stare at the both of them fighting and would tell them both, get out! Only for AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan to say, oh, we're sorry. Pretty much mouth, we're sorry. And then for AJ Styles to say, oh, fix the chairs. For them to both fix the chairs. And for Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles to have a conversation outside. And AJ telling Daniel, you look like a real coward in there. Well, you're the one who told me to fix back the chairs. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Then for them to go back to fighting once again. And once things hit the roof after all of those funny moments that saw a clown during all of this in the lower levels that we almost forgot, folks, you would see Nia Jax fighting alongside against none other than Lacey Evans and Asuka, which were the only three women to make it to the roof since the Queen of Spades herself got taken out downstairs by getting thrown into a wall. And yeah, Carmella getting eliminated by getting powerbombed through a food fight table. And once again, to bring people up to speed, Dana Brooke slipping and falling and losing a chance out of the Money in the Bank briefcase would finally see Asuka in her own element up on that ladder, trying to grab for that briefcase, only for King Corbin, alongside with all of this mess, to climb up to try to grab his briefcase, to get slapped in the face by Asuka, kicked in the mouth, and for Asuka to win this year's Money in the Bank ladder match for this year, and to celebrate the only way she knew how, for the announcers to chime in and show a little freeze frame picture of her holding on to that briefcase. Then once we would cross over to the other side, for the men's side, we would see Otis, I do believe Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, and alongside with him the phenomenal AJ Styles, the only competitors left during this said match that did not get eliminated. But the eliminations would happen in the form of not only Aleister Black, my pick, which pissed me off a little bit, getting thrown off the roof of corporate headquarters by Baron Corbin, along with Rey Mysterio, leaving none other than Otis, who couldn't climb the ladder, Baron Corbin, and AJ Styles, the only competitors left fighting for that briefcase, which would see not only a phenomenal forearm to Otis, but also Baron Corbin trying to take out AJ Styles, only for AJ and Baron to fight on the top of the ladder back and forth saying, "The case is mine! No, the case is mine! No, the case is mine!" Only for both of them to not only unhook the case, fight over it so much, but for AJ Styles to win the exchange, only for him to go to the candy store and pick up some good old-fashioned Butterfingers, drop the case to the ground, and for Otis to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase to become the winner of the men's side for the Money in the Bank ladder match for this year, for everybody to be shocked, including AJ Styles with that "I cannot believe it's not butter, I won $1 million during the Home Shopping Network Publishing Clearinghouse sweepstakes," for him to get knocked off the ladder by Otis, and for Otis to scream, "Mandy, my peach, we did it!" And this would be the closest thing I'd see to Chris Farley winning a briefcase filled with an opportunity of gold in my life. And with everybody shocked and stunned, that's how we would end Money in the Bank for this year, with Otis celebrating with the briefcase and a freeze frame of the Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Banks for this year. Man, I can't wait to see who Otis is going to pin for that championship and how funny it's going to be to see him holding on to that belt. Granted, I believe he can win it, but at the same time, wow. Just wow. And join us next time, folks, where we come into your homes in less than 5 weeks for the next pay-per-view that may be inside of the Performance Center once again, in the form of Backlash that will take place as of June 14th of this year of 2020. My God, the year's going by fast, but yet with all this pandemic stuff, it seems to be going slower than ever. But hey, we'll be here to try to review all the pay-per-views we can that they can do during it. And I guess with that said, folks, we're going to go ahead and grab a glass of water, and when we return, we'll be back with more madness than you could shake a silver star at, as Under the Radar continues right after this. So don't get lost in the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned.